President Muhammadu Buhari is currently holding a joint press conference with his American counterpart, Donald Trump at the White House in Washington, D.C. 7:05 p.m., President Trump says the U.S. will soon release fighter helicopters to Nigeria. 5:55 p.m., President Buhari assures that his administration will do everything to rescue the abducted Chibok and Baki girls. 5:53 p.m., we commend the United States in their effort in helping to recover stolen fund which is over $500 million stashed in foreign banks around the world, President Buhari. 5:52 p.m., President Buhari said he is working towards diversifying Nigeria's economy particularly into the non-oil sector and says the country will welcome the U.S. investment. 5:51 p.m., President Buhari says his administration is working towards fostering better relationship between farmers and herdsmen. 49 p.m., we commend the U.S. for their support in the fight against Boko Haram and we will continue to appreciate any support we can get from the U.S., President Buhari. 47 p.m., President Muhammadu Buhari notes that the U.S. and Nigeria have a strong relationship particularly in the fight against terrorism. 46 p.m., President Trump thanks President Buhari for coming to the U.S. and applauds his fight against corruption. 44 p.m., we recently sold Nigeria 12 great aircraft to improve Nigeria's effort to fight terrorists. 43 p.m., President Trump recognizes President Buhari's effort in fighting Boko Haram. 6:40 p.m., President Buhari and President Trump at the Rose Garden. Trump says Nigeria is the U.S. main trading partner. 6:04 p.m., top government officials between Nigeria and the U.S. engage in a bilateral meeting before the press conference. 51 p.m., the White House driveway wears a new flag line for welcoming ceremony of President Buhari. 45 p.m., security and economy are top of the agenda as the two leaders speak about U.S.-Nigeria relationship. 37 p.m., President Buhari and President Trump meet at the Oval Office before their scheduled press conference. 20 p.m., the White House administrative staff prepares for the historic meeting between President Muhammadu Buhari and President Donald Trump. Security and economic issues are expected to top the agenda for the bilateral meeting and working lunch. Nigeria, the most populous country in Africa with almost 200 million people, is the largest economy on the continent and a leading crude oil exporter. Aso Rockvilla in a statement said President Muhammadu Buhari and U.S. President Donald Trump will hold a joint press conference in the Rose Garden of the White House today Monday, April 30, 2018 at 1. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari will become the first leader from sub-Saharan Africa to be received by U.S. President Donald Trump when he arrives in Washington for talks later. Recall that President Buhari was one of the first two African leaders Trump called after he took power, along with South Africa's president. As a guest of the U.S. government, President Buhari is staying at Blair House, the U.S. president's guest house. Sometime last year, the Trump administration tied up a $600 million deal with Nigeria over the sale of military aircraft intended to be used in the fight against Islamic extremist group Boko Haram.